Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll for Tuesday, June 21st, 2022. 9 days left of this month. Where the hell did it go? Just 2 days before the NBA draft. I was talking to our buddy and producer Kiefer before we started the show, and I had to check the dates. It's like, holy shit, they just finished the NBA Finals, and here we go. 2 days later, the NBA draft. Uh, some guys making some headway and some steam. And what better way today than to start the day in our show with NBA draft guru expert, Mr. Julian Edlow from DraftKings, to come on board with us. Talk a little, just want to wrap up the 2022 season on the Celtics, his closing thoughts on what he's thought on the NBA Finals, and jump right into the draft. There was, like I said, some big movement on the potential number one pick, which Orlando holds. Get his thoughts on who he thinks going number one, maybe some props and stuff before he leaves us. But without further ado, let's bring him in, Mr. Julian Edlow.
How we doing, Jeff?
Good morning, Julian. How are you, brother?
Hanging in there, man. I'm back from vacation, so I'm like getting back in the swing of things. It's never easy.
I saw all those lovely pictures of the food, so I think an under over of 5.5 pounds might have been a good one. How's that?
Yeah, I'm not I don't put my family on Twitter or anything like that, so you're not going to get family photos on vacation. I just tweet out everything I'm eating, and that seems to keep people entertained.
I just, I'm going to give my 2 cents on the NBA Finals, and I'm very interested in yours. We talked before the series, and we've been doing some chatter back and forth about it. Celtics 2-1 up, Game 4 at home. Anyone that wanted to listen, I said, listen, the Celtics have not stepped on anyone's throat here. Uh, it showed 4, 5, and 6. Golden State wins the last three, 2-1 at the Boston Garden. And when someone asked me what was the difference, I'm just saying experience. I think the Golden State they kind of played a little boxing match the first 3 games. You got to see a little of the Draymond Green that we're accustomed to. Wiggins stepped up, Poole stepped up. Nothing against the Celtics, and I'm not one of these guys that are going to bash them saying, hey, it was an amazing, amazing year, amazing second half year. Tatum and Brown, quote unquote, just not ready. What's your closing thoughts and what happened?
Yeah, I mean, the Celtics just weren't ready for that moment against a team that had a lot more experience, and that's the word that you used as well. And I think it's a word that a lot of us struggled to kind of handicap coming into the series. How valuable is the Warriors' experience against a young team that has a ton of playoff experience for their age, but no NBA Finals experience? And we found out that it mattered. The bench mattered. The bench was huge for the Celtics in that Game 1 comeback, and then fell off a cliff. And the Warriors showed their depth and got, sparks from their depth. And the Celtics got close to nothing off the bench from Grant Williams, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, even if you want to lump them in there, was awful in the NBA Finals. So they have a lot of work to do. But they're still a young team that won the East, even if it was with some injuries along the way, Chris Middleton being the main one. And they have a lot to build on here. So in the finals, yeah, the Celtics just weren't ready for the moment. Golden State wanted to kind of regain that throne and show that they could get back there. The turnovers are the big thing with this team. I don't know if they just need to mature, or if getting more ball handling in the offseason, putting Marcus Smart at point guard kind of sparked this whole run that they went on. So I don't think you necessarily have to change that, but maybe having some more depth that can handle the ball and not give the ball away to use at certain times could be valuable, because the turnovers just killed them and they were sloppy and they didn't get fixed. So finding out how to take care of the ball, learning from this experience and coming back. Now the question, I mean, Tatum was obviously awful in the NBA Finals. Can he learn from that and be better? So now the question becomes, is this kind of the next step. They got over the hump by getting to the finals. Now they kind of turn the corner, add a couple more pieces, and turn themselves into a winner one of these next few years? Or do they turn into the Oklahoma City Thunder, where a Jaylen Brown or a Jason Tatum leaves in a couple years because they haven't gotten there and they fall apart? We'll find out. But if you're just looking at it as things stand right now, disappointing end to the season, a great turnaround to the season, and the Celtics are in great position to at least be in position to get back. There's other good teams. Miami will have their moments, whoever, Philly, Milwaukee, but the Celtics should be in position to contend for the East and the NBA Finals for the next 4 or 5 years.
Bradley Beal. Now, I don't know if he's playing a game. I look at it this way. I mean, you fly the coop and you're going to get 180, 185 million. You stay in Washington. And someone brought this up yesterday. And I think this is so smart. You can stay, get the 5-year max for 240, and then after a year, demand a trade a la Ben Simmons. That seems like the new card here. I know the locals on 98.5, James has been talking about, Tatum has been trying to recruit Beal. I think it was maybe you or someone else said last week or 10 days ago, Brogdon for the Pacers, maybe move a Smart back and forth. Are we going to make a major move here, you think, or is this just going to be a plug and play?
I'm not really sure. I would probably be surprised if there was a major move because I think the core in place, I think their starting lineup works really well. Maybe you get a younger big because Horford got a lot of rest at the end of last season because OKC just put him on the bench. And now he played more than he's ever really played. So I think we're going to see a lot less of Horford in the regular season so that he can be effective again in the postseason. So getting some younger bigs to kind of fill in some minutes. And obviously Robert Williams is always going to be dinged up, it seems like, and you got to save him for the postseason. So some younger size would make sense, and some ball handling would make sense. So I really see this more as, what Brad Stevens did at the deadline, getting a Derek White and a Daniel Tice, 2 moves for key reserves to come in there that can help this team seems to make a little more sense to me than making a big splash. I don't know how the Celtics get Bradley Beal. Everybody loves to use the name Beal, and Tatum and Beal are friends, and I'm sure they've talked about playing together. I just don't know how you actually get him without giving away something of extreme value that just got you to the NBA Finals.
Are you in favor of running this back, or if you had an opportunity to move a Smart, like I said, for the monies or whatever, you'd have to move Smart, some other bigger contracts, give up picks to get Beal. I don't see that happening. Are you in favor? I heard of a Smart for Brogdon deal.
I haven't. The Smart for Brogdon didn't come from me, so I don't know who put that out there. But I think that would be fine if you want to. I don't think the Celtics would lose anything from that. Do Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown prefer playing with Malcolm Brogdon to Marcus Smart? That's something I'd like to know. But I honestly, I was open to changes in December, January. I think we all were. But now that this team has done it, I think that the starting 5 is a starting 5 that can be the best team in the NBA, at least for stretches. Like, the Celtics didn't even play well, and they made it to Game 6 of the NBA Finals. I mean, those turnovers and the mistakes, like, if they can clean that up, I think they're in a pretty good spot. So now that we've seen them actually do it, I think that this starting 5 at least, has earned a chance to keep going. Now they need more key reserves. They absolutely do. And adding Derek White was a good start. He was a letdown outside of Game 1 in the NBA Finals, but you need more of those pieces, particularly the 2 that I keep hammering: the ball handling and size, because we know Robert Williams is going to be dinged up and Al Horford's getting old. So size that can play key minutes in the regular season, particularly, and then come off the bench and help you in the postseason is probably the biggest need.
Yeah, the turnovers, we're not talking just double digits. We're talking 20, 21, 22, some of these games. Every time Tatum tried to drive to the rim. They're hitting the ball out of his hand, and the same with Jaylen Brown. So again, they're so young. You expect hit the weight room again, maybe add another 10 pounds of strength, something like that. I was one that said,
I don't even think that's it, to be honest. Like, I think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are both in great shape. Like, it's just literally the ball handling and the decision making. Like, it's the basics, the fundamentals. So I don't know how you work on that, but I think I'm not going to say less weight room, like stay in the shape you're in, but I don't think either of them need to like 90s Jordan to get through the Pistons, like hit the weight room all summer and gain 10 pounds of muscle. I just think they need to work on ball handling and decision making, as silly as that sounds, but they're 24 and 25.
let's go to the NBA draft. Cole's got a couple baseball games he likes today. Maybe we'll end up with that. And Cole, I do like where your eyes are, by the way, on the Dodgers Angels run line and the under and the Sox. I will get to you personally on those as well. NBA draft. I'm a huge Jabari Smith fan. I absolutely love the kid. I say I compare him to a young Tim Duncan. I think the sky's the limit. I was kind of hoping Detroit got the number one pick. Cade Cunningham with Jabari Smith would have been a hell of a start there. But what's really shocking is what has happened in the last 24 to 48 hours. Jabari Smith still at DraftKings, your home, minus 155. Chet Holmgren plus 230. But the shocker is Paolo Banchero from Duke. A couple days ago, plus 2,000, then plus 900. Now this favorite at plus 210. You buying the move, or is that more Orlando getting a little squirrely, taking offers, and that might move out of that spot? Or I don't know if you got a plus 2,000 or a plus 900, but he's the second favorite now.
Yeah, I got nothing on Banchero. I've been, as you know, betting Jabari Smith and got him at even money and then minus 120 and then minus 140 and correctly predicted the movement. He went to minus 500. The problem is now we're back to square one. So it's been quite a ride. This is tough. This is a tough draft because there's less information, partially due to some of the COVID years these guys were in high school or in college, partially due to the high-profile NBA Finals, Boston Golden State, that just finished up, and how little time there is in between. NFL draft is king. Like, we have those months in between the Super Bowl and NFL, and we just get more information. Team needs are easier to, it's easier to say this team needs a quarterback or this team needs a cornerback versus like, oh, they need a guard or a forward in the NBA. It's just like, well, who's better? Take the better player in the NBA. So it's a lot harder, and there's way less information. So I don't expect the NBA draft to go as well as the NFL draft did for me and a lot of other people. For the top pick, we saw Trayvon Walker in the NFL come out of nowhere and kind of become the odds-on favorite. And get up to minus 400, 500, 600 right before the draft because we eventually found out it would be him. This is a pretty similar move, just quicker and on draft week. Now, the difference is we saw Trayvon Walker eventually become the odds-on favorite and fly up the board. Like, Banchero's still plus 210. Like, if we found out he's definitely the guy, then plus 210 is a great bet. So he's not the favorite. So like, what is preventing him? What prevented him? Whoever got what information when he was 20-1 and 9-1, what's preventing that from springing him all the way to a minus 200, 300, 400 favorite if somebody knows he's the pick? Like, somebody got some kind of information to make this move. I just don't know where it came from. I don't know if Orlando knows exactly what it's doing. So I know nothing is what I'm sitting here telling you, but I think we're going to learn more by, we're whatever, 2.5 days from the start of this draft. Is Banchero going to make that jump to even money, minus 200, minus 300 in the next 24 to 36 hours? Or is it going to kind of sit where it is still and say, well, most people are mocking Jabari Smith, but we don't know. It could be It could be Chet. It could be Banchero. We don't know. So it's a whole lot of nothing this year trying to get information, which makes it more interesting that this wild movement happened over the last 48 hours and nobody knows where it came from.
They say the draft doesn't start till pick 4. Everyone trying to get to 4 to jump in on Purdue and Ivy. Let me just take a step back, and I'm not a Chet Holmgren fan. Now he has put his name out there saying whoever does not passes on me will live to regret this. I use a comparison, and it's not a fair comparison because he's bigger and stronger than Sean Bradley was when he was coming out years and years ago. But watching him in the tournament and watching Banchero had a phenomenal tournament, and his stock was rising from the tournament. And I don't think Chet had a good tournament. He was getting thrown around, and I just think of him and his makeup in the NBA. He's, why, if you were going to take him second or third, I don't think he's ready for the NBA right now, just physically. I'm not saying he won't eventually. If you were a GM and let's say you were picking third, let's just say it goes Jabari and it goes Banchero. Are you comfortable with starting your pick and putting your name on Chet Holmgren at 3?
I guess not really. And if it's that scenario, then I'm Houston, and that's probably not the guy they're looking for. But again, I would be surprised. I think Banchero is probably either going, and I can't believe that, he's in the conversation at 1 now, but I think he's either going 1 or 3. I don't think he necessarily goes 2. I think OKC's board is either like Holmgren or Smith at the top, and then the other one, and then Banchero. So I don't know if he would go there, but so this is a non-gambling question, I guess, and it's just my personal talent evaluation. Then yeah, I'm pretty low on Holmgren. He can be an impact player, but not a superstar in my opinion. Now we saw Kevin Durant come in severely undersized in terms of weight and strength, and that turned out fine. I don't think Holmgren's the same player. Like Durant was lighting it up at Texas. Holmgren's not that type of player. So yeah, he's definitely more skilled than a Sean Bradley in what he can do handling and passing the ball. He's obviously worth a risk in the top 5 for somebody. But yeah, for me, if I'm doing prospects in this draft, I have Jabari Smith 1 in terms of my evaluation. Actually, a really close, probably Jaden Ivey and Paolo Banchero at 2. I think Ivy could easily be a Ja Morant type player, and Banchero could be a Carmelo Anthony type player. Like, I don't know, what's your preference there? I guess both good, but nobody that's won anything, I guess. And then Holmgren would be at 4 for me, probably, because I don't think there's another guy with that type of ceiling. So I don't think there's anybody else that can go up there, but I would probably have him 4.
All right, I'm going to, at this point, turn the board over to you. I know you enjoy the drafts. We had a great NFL draft and some great props that we hit. What have you done so far? What are you eyeing? Because we won't be able to talk to you till after the draft sometime, maybe next week or whenever we get you in again. But what have you seen so far? Tickets you already have in hand. Obviously, we talked about Jabari Smith. And what should the guys like myself and the public here that are listening right now that have the DraftKings Sportsbook app, give us some lanes to kind of highlight and keep an eye on?
Yeah, so I don't have much, and I have my Jabari Smith tickets that I'm going to find out if I'm either going to do some serious hedging one way or another, or just ride them. The interesting thing is that, this was a 2-man race before. Now it's a 3-man race. So how do you hedge this 3 ways 2 days before the draft? So stay tuned for that. In terms of bets, like I say to you every time, we just gave our talent evaluation on who we like. That doesn't matter when we're betting this. It matters what these teams think and the information we get. So a guy that's really picking up steam, I don't even know if I'm going to say his name right, Ousmane Dieng. He's a forward. He's 19 years old. He played for New Zealand, the New Zealand Breakers last year. He's like a 6'9" wing with real guard skills, athletic, a lot of defensive potential. So he's moved a lot over. I put him out last night at plus 350 for the top 10 and minus 135 for under 13.5. He's now plus 190 for top 10. And let's see what that price is for 13.5. Oh boy, he might have come off the board. All right. Well, that draft prop will probably be back and maybe at 12.5. And I still like it at 12.5. Hopefully you got it last night, but this is how the draft works. Stuff moves and it moves quick. But Ousmane Dieng to go top 10 and go top 12, 13 is a position that I've invested in recently. AJ Griffin, he's not going in the top 10, but his over 10.5 is now minus 265. The Knicks pick at 11. Will they pick him? Maybe. I tend to think no. So like maybe if that moves to 11.5 and you can get more standard juice on it, I would still play the over. I think he probably falls there. Benedict Mathurin, the wing from Arizona, super athletic. He's probably going to go 5 or 6. So he moved down from 8.5. He was like under 8.5, I think, at minus 180. Moved very quickly to 6.5. He's now minus 110 each way. I'd probably take under 6.5 for minus 110. I haven't bet that yet. I'm still waiting because I don't think that's going to fly away too quick. But yeah, he should go. I don't think he'll go 4, but he should go 5 or 6, I would say. And one last interesting guy. I think, is Jalen Duran from Memphis. He's basically top 10 or not. He's minus 110 each way to go over under 10.5. There was some hype that he could go in the top 10. I just don't see where he fits, especially if you're like me and you have somebody who's like out of the top 10, like this Dieng prospect sliding in there. That takes away from, a true center. And the centers in this draft are going to slide. It looks like Mark Williams from Duke is going to slide. So I think the market for Duran really starts at 11, 12, 13. So I would look for him to go, and that's reasonably priced outside of the top 10. I haven't bet that yet again, but these are things that you might see me put on Twitter in the next, anytime between now and Thursday, essentially. We'll say it that way.
And I like what you're saying because it's true. It just takes one team, one trade to screw up the whole draft.
See, the trades, everybody gets obsessed with the board. Well, they don't need him. They don't need a center. They don't need this. And then somebody moves, and now it's like, well, the whole board just shook up.
Are you reading or hearing, or I know you got some contacts with the locals, a few of them at the 98.5 and wherever, where the Celtics' eyes are, or anything that I picking so far down. You're not, you need a miracle. They're not going to move up, but anything what they might be eyeing. Someone yesterday talked about someone from Providence actually might be hanging around there. But have you heard anything about it from the Celtics camp?
I have no clue what the Celtics want to do in the draft. I would be very surprised if they're too active. Just take what they have and see what it turns into. I think the big difference between Brad Stevens and Danny Ainge, and we saw it this past year, is that this team isn't about the draft anymore. Like, they had their draft picks and they hit on them. They hit on Tatum. They hit on Brown. Marcus Smart has been around a while, but a solid player. And then they hit on Robert Williams in the 20s was a great pick. Grant Williams, you got a role player, outside of the lottery. Peyton Pritchard, you got a good role player outside of the lottery. We'll see if they can make Neesmith into anything, their last lottery pick. So, I think they've gotten what they need out of the draft. Now they're a young team that just went to the NBA Finals that should be bringing in some talent that has a little bit of experience and can help them. So Stevens moved a pick to get Al Horford, even though, the idea was to have his contract, but Horford wound up being a huge contributor. I think Stevens is, rather than talk about this draft and certainly not moving up, I think Stevens is more likely to say, hey, we can get somebody that can help next year. I'll take next year's pick and use it to get us something. So after years and years of talking about these draft picks and all of these picks that Danny Ainge stocked up, I think we're completely flipped now. I think it's talking about, veteran players that you can bring in to help, and the willingness, as we've already seen from Stevens, to move some of those picks to get them.
We will be interested. I will be following your timeline, of course. The scroller has been working the whole time. You can follow Julian Edlow at Julian Edlow at DraftKings, at DK Sportsbook, at DK Live. Catch his podcast at Unreasonable Odd Podcast. And Julian, I look forward to the next couple days. We'll see if we can reconnect next week after the draft, because I know you're going to start digging deep in your NFL futures, over-unders, and all that good stuff. Hard to believe we're less than 2 weeks away from July 4th.
I know, seriously. And I'll be mixing a bunch of college in there as well. I'm looking forward to, Friday next week, starting to get into the college football flow. And I need to talk to you about some baseball after Thursday, after this NBA draft is done, because I've been putting selective baseball plays out on Twitter, and I feel very comfortable with them even after they lose, but they've all lost. I've lost like 7 or 8 in a row in baseball. Taking Verlander as a minus 250 favorite and playing him at minus 105 to record the win. And his 12 starts, they were 9-3 in them. 8 of them is recorded wins, and he gets smoked by the White Sox. I mean, that's a huge discount, a great way to save juice, but it's not working. So I gotta, again, I feel comfortable with the plays. I don't see what's wrong with them. So I don't know. I got to talk to you about some baseball.
100%. And I'm glad you brought that up, because when I saw you post that on your timeline, the one thing I give you so much props for, and especially DraftKings, and all the opportunities that you have, that you, in baseball, with the big favorites, you have to get creative on how we're going to get into these games. And I know the game you were talking about, Verlander was minus like 190, minus a half run in the first 5, yet he was only minus 115 in the full game. And something didn't add up right there. And we've cashed a boatload of Verlander first 5s before Vegas has caught up. So they price us out. And then income, I loved your play. I absolutely loved your play. And then bam. So 100% would love to get some baseball talking with you. And I would like to pick your brain as well, how to help me get creative. And then me and you could, piggyback off of each other.
I'll help you get creative. I need you to help me find the winning spots, because these aren't the winning spots. I'm getting creative, but they're not. I'm creative losers.
Thanks again, Julian. Good luck in the draft. We can't wait to see all those winners that you have, and we'll catch up with you hopefully sometime next week.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Jeff.
You take care. The one and only Julian Edlow in Boston. Great guy. I was blessed to have met him finally in March Madness up at the Westgate in Las Vegas here. And I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to go right to what Cole was talking about. Cole, if you're still here, I'm going to go to those numbers for you right now on the games that you were talking about. We're going to have a closing bell tonight, probably around 6 o'clock. Give or take a few minutes whenever Scotty gets back and he's ready. But Cole was talking about Dodgers and Angels run lines and the under and the Sox. Dodgers, rotation number 901, 902 at 640. Goslin versus Male. The overnight number, Cole, was 195 down to 168. And let me see, an over-under at 9.5. Let me go full game run line here for you. See what they're throwing at us. Dodgers minus 120 overnight, now down to minus 110. So the number has moved a little on that one there. And I'm going to go to the Angels game for you. Big comeback last night. Angels lose with Thor on the mound, 2-0 lead, and then they blow it. And why can't I find the Angels? There we go. Heasley versus Detmers. the run line, Angels overnight plus 115, now 127, going the other way, Cole. But I like where your eyes are. I like the bounce back with the Angels, and I like Detmers there. So I love where your eyes are there. Let's go to the Sox under over here for you and look at the matchups. What do we have? Brisky versus Hill. Actually, if you look at the numbers, it'll be interesting today at 6 o'clock. Brisky's been pitching pretty good for Detroit. Sox overnight minus 190, now down to 198. There, the over under 9.5 under overnight. It did drop to Jazz to 9 over. You can get 9.5 at Westgate. No, I'm sorry, it's South Point. And Westgate's down to 9. So if you're going to get in on that under, guys, you want to jump on that now because they're going to start flip-flopping that from 9.5 to 9. So great eyes there, guys. So again, nothing in the afternoon. Come join us. Turn the notifications on. We should be up here around 6:15. I'll put it up there on my timeline. Anyone has any questions throughout the day, send them to me on my timeline at EC Sports Invest on Twitter. I'll answer any question that you have, and we'll go from there. So thank you all for watching and listening. We'll be back later this afternoon. Everyone have a blessed day.